Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the one you've all been waiting for. I'm very pleased to be presenting you with the very first look at the underground gameplay, but I actually want to talk about something other than that first. I actually want to talk about weapon balancing, and I'm going to be giving you the world's first look at the weapon balance changes that are going live in patch 1.3 underground. So obviously this weapon balance pass has been coming for a long time now, and it's finally here, and it looks pretty interesting. So I'm not going to spend, so I just want to get straight into the detail of this. Now, from what I understand, none of the actual weapons, or very few of them it seems, have had any sort of tweaking done to their core stats. You know, that's not confirmed, but that was the sort of impression that I got. Looking at the weapons themselves, they all seem to have similar rates of fire and damage, that sort of thing, versus what they are currently. However, the secondary skills associated with those weapons are vastly different. So we know that right now SMGs have bonus critical hit damage, and we know that marksman rifles get bonus headshot damage. The other weapon types don't get any other type of modifier on them. This is all changing. Every weapon will have its own modifier type, and even SMGs are going to be changing themselves. So let's get to it. Well, first up, let's talk about SMGs. So currently SMGs have base critical hit chance baked into them. That will change. They will lose that critical hit chance, and they will instead have critical hit damage. So obviously now you are going to need to sort of gear into crit in order to benefit from that. You are probably going to need to leverage pulse if you really want to max out your crit, given that the maximum amount of crit that you can get on a base amount is about 20% if you look at stuff on actual gear plus weapon mods. So you know, and even, well, there's also Savage, I suppose you could talk about as well. But yeah, so it's a very different approach to maximizing your crit on SMGs now, where you need to sort of invest in it very heavily to be able to benefit from the free critical hit damage that you will get on your SMG. So that's a very big change. Very interesting to see how that will shake out in terms of the meta. Number 2, assault rifles. Now, a lot of people had suggested that assault rifles or LMGs would get some kind of armor shred, and guess what? Assault rifles get armor shred. They get somewhere in the vicinity of around 20% armor shred, but I've confirmed that this only applies to PvE targets. It does not apply to PvP targets. It is armor shred in the vicinity of 20% to PvE targets only. On LMGs, this is a really big one. LMGs get 30% more damage to any target out of cover, and that works in both PvE and PvP. So they explained to me that it was sort of a design intent to encourage more cover usage in the PvP metagame, and that's obviously, you know, this is one way to do that. You know, this is one way that you're going to be able to accomplish that goal. Now, this is a really big deal because the difference between the lowest damage LMGs and the highest damage is really quite large, and if you amplify the higher damage LMGs by 30%, that's really big, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to shake out yet. I need to go back and sort of run numbers in a lot more detail to really comment on that. But that's what I can say for now. It's 30% more damage to targets out of cover when you're using any type of LMG. Shotguns get stagger. So you might not know this, but every weapon has a base amount of stagger built into it. Shotguns actually, as I understand, have more base stagger chance, but what they're adding now is this rolled modifier, and I think on my weapon that I saw is about 280% extra stagger. You know, when you're firing with a shotgun. Now, this only applies to PvE targets, does not apply to PvP targets, and it just basically means that when you're shooting an enemy with a shotgun, there's a very high chance that you're going to stagger them. This, of course, makes them do things like interrupt their ability animations, drop their grenades, makes them unable to fire because they're kind of reeling from the shot. It's very powerful, and I tried it out, and I wasn't really able to stun lock things in like completely. I wasn't able to just keep something locked down permanently, but I was able to get pretty close to that. You know, especially I was using an SMG Type 12, which is a high rate of fire shotgun. Pretty easy to keep my target fairly locked down, given that stagger. So that's it, guys. Those are the balance changes that are being made to weapons. That's the weapon balance pass. Now, in terms of like, is this good or not? I mean, it's really very difficult for me to say at a preliminary basis. I would say unquestionably SMGs have been nerfed, and they've been nerfed very hard. You know, losing their critical hit chance and putting that into critical hit damage is immediately less effective, because it means you need to gear for that and possibly use abilities for that in order to reach what you need to reach and getting maximum crit. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that all works out. I said need to go back and run the numbers on that. Unquestionably, LMGs are going to be extremely formidable. I played quite a few hours of Underground today, and I got a chance to use an LMG at one point. And yeah, I mean, there's they do a lot of damage now, a lot more damage than I was doing with other weapons. 30% more damage on an LMG when a target's out of cover. If it's a decent class of LMG and it's got good talents on it, it's going to be very competitive. So again, need to run the numbers, but it's a real game changer for LMGs. They're definitely back in the game, particularly something like the RPK, which it's the one that looks like the Pecan. It kind of looks like an AK-47. That is an LMG, and that has a very high amount of base damage. A very strong weapon, even at the moment. So to see that thing buffed by 30%, very interested to see how that one goes. Assault rifles, I'm disappointed with this change, to be honest with you, in the sense that it only works on PvE targets. The toughness meta right now really sucks. It's just annoying not to be able to kill anyone in the Dark Zone, and I don't know what changes are coming in that regard in 1.3. I'm not sure if they're addressing it or they're not, but I just know that we need more chances or more ability to kill highly armored targets, and this change could have been that. Assault rifles could have been a really competitive armor shred or sort of anti-toughness weapon in the Dark Zone. That's not happening now. However, the fact that they do 20% more armor damage is good, but let's not forget that armor is only the first sort of like maybe 3/5 of a mob's total health, so for the remaining 2/5 you're not actually getting any bonus damage on that target whatsoever. On the shotguns as well, I think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity. It would have been really great to see that Stagger somehow worked into PvP. I know how disruptive it would have been for it to just be sort of put in carte blanche, but the fact that you're not getting any additional benefit out of a shotgun in PvP versus what you are now, I think is a bit of a shame. Shotguns can be great if you know how to use them, particularly on a PC. It's a lot easier to control them. But, look, it is what it is for now, and I guess, that's it. So I think I look at these weapon changes, and I kind of think they look very, first step, toe in the water kind of thing. Incremental change rather than wholesale change. It really is going to depend how the numbers finally shake out, particularly with regards to how hard SMGs have been hit and how competitive certain types of LMGs will be. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not it's actually going to be worthwhile using an assault rifle or a shotgun at all in a PvP setting, given that you're not getting any of those extra bonuses out of it. I don't know. All these things we need to work out, and the meta will sort of figure itself out as we go. But those are the weapon changes, guys, that fresh off the floor. I've literally come back from a pretty much day-long capture session with the massive guys testing out Underground. They've got their masterclass coming up tonight, but I've been informed that they're not really talking about this stuff in that masterclass because it's sort of for a different type of audience. It's going to be, also Rainbow Six fans and also Ghost Recon fans. So they're keeping it very high level, and more information will come out on the weapon balance later. However, they did say, yep, go ahead, skill up. You can make a video on this, chat about all this, and so that's why I'm sharing it with you now. So if you like this video, guys, please drop it a like. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. This is the sort of stuff that I really enjoy. This is the #1 thing that I wanted to get out of this conference, a look at weapon balance and what they were doing about it. So I'm really thrilled to have gotten that information and be able to present it to you first. But yeah, I've got a lot more videos coming tonight. I want to do this. So you've seen gameplay playing in the background now of the Underground, and I haven't even talked about that yet. I'm going to do that in a separate video. Plus, there's other videos about things like gear sets, new weapon talents. There's all sorts of stuff coming. So stick around for any of those. Take good care, guys, and I'll see you in the Dark Zone. Bye-bye.